Back to Math with Miss Swartz. Today we're going to focus on word problems. We'll do a few word problems that are pretty typical of the word problems you've seen in the past, and we'll figure those out using equations. We're also going to look at some triangle problems, maybe even some other types of figures similar to those triangle problems. We've already done some of those. And then we are also going to look at writing equations from a sentence. So there's a little bit of prior knowledge we're going to use today, but most of this is not new. We're just applying what we know, and we're going to practice this tomorrow. So let's get started. The first slide I have here is just a four-step approach to problem solving. There's lots of different ways you could talk about an approach to problem solving, but these are probably a good way to start. So understanding the problem. What don't you know? That's a big piece. What is the unknown? Because if you know what that is, we're probably going to call that a variable, or x. What information is given and what's being asked. So these are all important information. Then make a plan. Okay. And sometimes that's the hard part when teachers say, make a plan to solve this. Well, how do I do that, Miss Swartz? We're going to talk through, okay, how do we break down problems like this? Finally, we're going to try to solve the problem, carry out our plan, and check to make sure our steps are correct, and then look back. Here's the big one for 8th graders. Does this make sense? Does the answer make sense? So that's always a good question to ask yourself. So let's jump in with an example here. It says, you thought the balance in your checking account was $68. When your bank statement arrives, okay, some of you might not know what a bank statement is, but every month your bank would send you out a statement. You realize you forgot to record a check. You also might not realize writing a check, you have to kind of track that. But the bank statement lists your balance as $26. So it says, write and solve an equation to find the amount of the check that you forgot to record. So what don't we know? That's our first question. Well, we don't know the amount of the check. Okay, so we're going to call that x. X is amount of check. Okay, what do we know? We know that we thought our bank account was here, but our bank account is actually here. Okay, so if we think about this, we know that our end bank account is right here, $26. Okay, we could say that that's going to be equal to whatever we thought our bank account was going to be, and then if we take away the amount of the check. Well, if we're taking away the amount of the check, we're going to be subtracting. So we could say 68 minus x is going to be equal to 26. Hopefully that's logical. Now I just need to solve. So I wrote the equation, now I just need to solve it. So I'm going to subtract 68 on both sides to work to get x alone. I have to remember to bring this with me, which is a challenge for some of you to understand, that subtraction is the same as a negative symbol. Okay, now 26 minus 68. Okay, well, we have different signs, or we could say, if we did keep change, we have different signs, so we're going to subtract. 68 minus 26 would be 42, but it would be a negative 42. We have more negatives. So some of you might be tempted to say, okay, my answer is negative 42, but I want you to think, can money be, if we're talking about a check you wrote, would that ever be negative? So remember, one step we have to do here is divide by -1, because there's that pretend 1 out in front. So x would be equal to 42. So our check would be worth $42. So that's where that does this make sense and the answer come into play. Okay, so let's look at this one together as well. It says, use the table to find the number of miles x you need to run on Friday so that the mean number of miles run per day is 1.5. Okay, so it shows you Monday we ran 2 miles, Tuesday we ran 0, Wednesday we ran 1.5, Thursday you ran 0, and we don't know Friday. It already tells us that's what our x is. That's what we don't know. So we have to think back, what does the mean mean? The average, right? So we want our average number of miles run per day over the week to be 1.5. We have to remember how to find the average or the mean. Well, to do that, we're going to add up all of our numbers and divide by the number of numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number of days. Okay. So I want 2 plus 0 plus 1.5 plus 0 plus x divided by 5 to equal what? I want that mean to equal 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to simplify this top part as much as I can. Okay, and a big part of this problem is remembering the average, obviously. So if I add this, I'm going to get 3.5 plus x over 5 equals 1.5. Okay, from here I have to remember how to solve this. I have an addition problem on top of my fraction here, so I need to multiply first. So I'm going to do 1.5 times 5. So I have 3.5 plus x equals 7.5. Now to work to get x alone, I'm going to subtract 3.5 from both sides. So x would equal 4. For me to average 1.5 over the week, because I didn't run much on Thursday and Tuesday, I'd have to run 4 miles on Friday. So check to kind of make sure that makes sense in your head, because Monday we ran 2, which is above our what we want our average to be. Wednesday we ran right at our average, but Tuesday and Thursday we didn't run at all. So that makes sense. Friday would have to be a little bit bigger. Okay, so that's kind of our story problems. Now, as I said, we want to look at these triangle problems. I'm going to do 2 of these, and I'm going to have you do 2 on your own. So this first one looks a lot like the one we did a while back. On your first experience with equations, I had you do a couple examples here. And there's not a lot of room on my screen, but I'm going to try my best to make do. Okay, so it tells us that the sum of the angle measures is 180. So I know that all of these, if I add them up, they are going to equal 180. So that allows me to set up an equation. I could set up 2x plus 7 plus 74 plus x equals 180. All I did was add each piece, so 2x plus 7, 74, and x, and I set it equal to 180. So now I need to combine some like terms, which we worked on last week. So I have 3x, and 74 plus 7 would be 83, and that equals 180. From there, I'm going to subtract 83 from both sides. So I have 3x equals 180 minus 83 is 97. Because I work with the thing least attached to the variable, so I want to subtract that first. From there, to get x alone, I'm going to divide. And that's going to give us a fraction. So again, I'm always okay if you leave it like this. You can change it to a mixed number, just make sure it's simplified. 3 can't go into 97, so we're good with x being right there. Okay, if I try number 2 is a little different. Okay, so number 2 is not a triangle, but it does still tell us the sum of the angle measures. We have a quadrilateral here. It's 360 now. So I could take the same piece of information and do the same thing. I'm just going to set it equal to 360 instead of 180. So I have 2x plus x plus x plus 2x equals 360. Combine any like terms I have. They're all x's here. So 2x plus 1x plus 1x plus 2x give us 6x equals 360. Divide by 6. 360 divided by 6 is 60. And it does tell us to check the reasonableness of our answer. If you plug these in, it would have to make sense that that would add up to 360. Okay, so because this is taking a little bit longer, I definitely want you to try number 3. I won't have you do number 4 right now. Maybe we'll do that for bell work tomorrow. But this one adds up to 360 as well because it also has 4 sides. So I want you to try number 3 on your own. Last thing we're going to do today is look at, let's see if I can get this to show on the screen here. Write sentences, or take sentences and write them as equations, and then solve. So let's look at this first one. It says twice a number plus 5 is equal to 19. Okay, so what it wants you to do is take the sentence, use the numbers that you know, write the equation. So we really have to be looking for math words. So twice a number is where we're going to start. So if it says a number, we're going to call that x. We're going to call that a variable. So twice a number, I'm going to be multiplying 2 times x. And it says plus, well, that's pretty obvious, plus what? 5. Is equal to, or is in math is really important. That's going to mean equals, and then we have 19. So, because you know how to do that, I'm going to have you go ahead and solve that on your own. Next one. The quotient of a number and 6 is the same as 12. So here's a number, so we're going to call that x. Quotient means divide, so we're going to say x divided by 6. It says is the same. Okay, is your big word here, but the same means equal in math as 12. I'm going to multiply by 6 on both sides. I did this one for you. You give me the answer there. So I want you to try 3 on your own. I know it's kind of hard to see. It says 3 times a number and then subtracted by 12 is equal to 3. So try that one on your own. Awesome, that's what we have for today. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.